What if the Patriots beat the Giants in the Super Bowl both times? How would you feel about that? Instead of winning against them if they lost?
I would still pull for the Patriots.
Yeah, of course you would. Because at the end of the day, it's a division rival.
Yeah, I guess I just don't understand from a Jets fan.
The only time where I wanted a rival...
We wouldn't root for the Bills, the Dolphins, or the Patriots.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
I will admit this, though. When the Boston Marathon bombing happened, I was kind of pulling for the Red Sox.
Ooh,
the Boston Marathon, that was the only time.
I know, I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, me either.
But
I was hoping that they would do well. I was kind of rooting for them to lose, but I hope that they would have thrived,
I see what you're saying. I was at a Yankee game after the Boston Marathon bombing. It was when the FBI announced that piece of garbage had done the bombing. Actually, pieces of garbage had done the bombings. Do not say their name. I will not let you say their names on this show.
I don't remember how to pronounce their name.
Don't. I'm not going to give them the glory, infamy, whatever you want to call it, that they want. But I was at the game afterwards. It was when they announced that they were the prime suspects, and Yankee Stadium had displayed "We Stand with Boston" or something like that, and that was beautiful.
Yeah.
I had a picture of that for the longest time on my phone.
Didn't they do Sweet Caroline?
They did do Sweet Caroline.
You were at that game?
And Boston, I don't remember if I was at that game. I don't think I was. Boston did New York, New York. After 9/11.
See, now that's the thing, too. When I went to a Red Sox-Yankee game, I was talking, again, a lot of these fans are civilized, but then again, a lot of rotten apples out there. I was sitting next to a Red Sox fan talking baseball, nonstop throughout all 9 innings, obviously paying attention to the game. That was a game where Gary Sanchez hit 2 home runs. It was amazing. And he was like, after 9/11, I was rooting for the Yankees. And I was like, how can you do that? He said, honestly, the nationalism kicked in. It really did. And when it affects a certain city, like how, it affected Boston, it affected New York, people tend to poll for the city that it happened to, especially if they're in that position to win.
Exactly, and 9/11 was I'm not putting downplaying the Boston Marathon, but 9/11 was of catastrophic events.
They both were, yeah.
The Boston Marathon.
Both were, true.
Yeah, I mean, the bombing didn't kill as many people as 9/11 did. But let's get back to sports. I guess while we're on the subject of the Patriots, we can talk about that. What do you think is going to happen now with the Patriots?
I heard Rob Gronkowski, an interviewer, asked him, are you going to retire? And he said, I don't know how you heard that, but he didn't
he didn't deny it.
Yeah.
So he might go. Malcolm Butler's going to go. There's no question about that. Who knows how many years Brady and Belichick have left. I'm not saying they're going to retire anytime soon, but they're not going to be here forever, and I fully expect the Patriots to draft a quarterback this year. But we do have a caller on the line. Caller, you're on Beyond the Game.
Hello, Jacob.
Hey, who's this and where are you calling from?
Wow, really?
Dom. Come on, really?
Dominic! Oh, my God. Gee whiz.
On.
You know what it is? You sound different when you're on the phone, buddy. And I can't stare at your beautiful face.
It's all right. Don't worry. But so I heard that you guys, we were talking about the tragedies that happened to the city. How usually fans come together and pull for that team. I feel like you forgot one of the recent ones with the Houston Astros.
That's true. Okay.
I was going to bring it up. Yeah.
But we were talking more terrorist acts. Hurricane Harvey was just an act of God,
right.
if I can call it that. But Dominic, let me ask you something. I'm glad you called in. Would you want the Jets to give up 6th overall for Nick Foles?
I'm just worried that Nick Foles would just thrived in the Eagles system. And look, I'll give him credit. 2 playoff games where he looked amazing, and he won the Super Bowl and got Super Bowl MVP. I texted you in our group chat we have, Jacob, and even said, wow, he's actually impressing me this game. So I'll give him that. I'm not saying I wouldn't want him on the Jets next year, but to give up the 6th overall, I'm just a little worried because I feel like, I don't know, personally, I would just love for the Jets, my situation for me with the Jets, I want them to just simply sign Kirk Cousins and use that 6th overall pick to draft something else. I think that's why I'm just so stuck on that situation that I want the Jets to do that. I think that's why I really don't want to give up that 6th-round pick.
That is definitely my A1 scenario is for the Jets to sign Kirk Cousins. Because at the end of the day, while you would have to give him the biggest contract in NFL history, you still don't have to give up a high draft pick for him. And obviously, at the end of the day, the Jets are a team with a lot of needs. They could certainly use that 6th overall pick. But the way I see it, if you can get a franchise quarterback, and Nick Foles has been playing like a franchise quarterback, I would certainly do it. At the end of the day, this is a team that hasn't had anything close to a franchise quarterback since the 2nd or 3rd year of Mark Sanchez's career, and that is too long, in my opinion. I'd be willing to pull out all the stops.
Yeah, no, I understand. Look, it's definitely like an intriguing option for the Jets, and I definitely think that they'll look into it. But it just once March comes about, like I'm just excited to see what the Jets are actually going to do with this because they have the money to spend with the cap space, so that's why it's like Kirk Cousins. I understand, it's just his time to get that big contract, which is honestly kind of annoying because we all know he doesn't deserve it, but it's his time, so it's just something that has to happen. He's going to get signed somewhere.
Yeah.
But I will say this. The Redskins did come out over the weekend saying that, they might franchise tag him and try and trade him.
Not going to happen.
If that happens, then I definitely don't want him.
It would never happen.
I don't think it's going to happen. It's too risky.
No, because at the end of the day, the 31 other teams could just say, okay, fine. You can devote $34 million to your backup quarterback. That's fine. Because at the end of the day,
they come out and release that.
Puts them at a disadvantage at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, definitely.
All right, Dominic, thanks for the call, buddy, and I'm sorry you can't make it.
It's all right. Don't worry about it. Work is a thing.
Yeah. All right,
Tom.
take care. All right. That was Dominic Arbolino. I'm sorry I didn't recognize his voice. I'm horrible with that. I'm horrible with recognizing people's voices on the phone.
You know what? You kind of hit it head on. People's voices are very different over the phone.
That's all it was.
One small difference can change, from thinking like it's you to then me thinking it's Joe,
Yeah, absolutely. So, is that it for the Super Bowl? Have we hit on everything?
I think so.
I just want to make sure we have left no stone unturned before we get to the other
Malcolm
news.
Butler?
Okay, we can talk about Malcolm Butler a little bit.
We touched on it.
We touched on it, but let's devote
His
a little
future?
more time to it. I could see him on the Jets. Honestly. I know I'm saying, everyone needs to go to the Jets, and that's obviously because I'm a Jets fan.
The thing is, they're positional needs.
Everything, yeah.
Yeah, the Jets need a lot, and the Jets certainly need a cornerback. I like Patrick Robinson. He played well in that Super Bowl.
There's some options on the market right now. Two of them you just spoke
I know
of,
Dominic is high on Trumaine Johnson. I'm higher on Robinson. Malcolm Butler played well this year, and we can't overstate the idiocy of this decision by Bill Belichick. He broke the rules. You know how you punish him? You don't bring him back to a team that wins the Super Bowl. I honestly think that if Malcolm Butler had played, the Patriots would have won the Super Bowl.
It would have made a huge difference.
Eric Rowe played like garbage.
Yeah, he was getting
Yes, he did.
burned.
I don't understand how you don't bring him in. You bench him for a half. You know what you say? You say, okay, look, we're playing like garbage without you. You're coming in. You're not going to be back next year. But you know what? Play for your future. Play for your next big contract. That's all it is. I don't understand how you bench him. Chris Russo defended it on his open. I don't understand how. This was so dumb. I love Doggy. Don't get me wrong. Love Mad Dog. But, this was just so dumb.
I mean, the New England defense is already, not that good as it's been, in a couple of years. They kind of, I mentioned it before we had a caller, they kind of have a bend, don't break defense.
And they certainly broke.
And they definitely did, and that's what I'm saying. They needed Malcolm Butler to be there. Their corners were getting torched.
You give up 41 points, you don't deserve to win. Then again, you give up 33 points, you don't deserve to win. I love this Super Bowl. I loved watching it. But at the end of the day, both defenses played like garbage. It was, from a defensive standpoint, it was infuriating to see. I mean, I can watch 7-6 football games. There was a game a few years ago, a Sunday night game. It was Cardinals-Seahawks. Both kickers, Catanzaro and Walsh, missed field goals in overtime. And I was watching it. It was a defensive struggle. I was watching the game, and I said to one of my friends, yeah, hey, listen, that was a good Sunday night game. He turned to me and he said, really? Yeah, I like defensive struggles. I like offensive explosions more, don't get me wrong, but I like defensive struggles too. I appreciate all aspects of football.
Yeah.
That's what makes me a true football fan.
And if you look at the stats for the game, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the only sack of the game was the strip sack from Brady.
Yeah, and again, give Brady credit. He threw for the most passing yards in Super Bowl history, breaking his own record that he set last year.
Yeah, he played great. And, one thing that also didn't help, besides Malcolm Butler, was Brandon Cooks getting knocked out. And,
he went to bed.
Oh, my God. Good night, Brandon Cooks.
How about instead of that, the offensive penalty on Rob Gronkowski was the first offensive penalty that the Patriots had that whole postseason.
Yeah.
Belichick runs a tight ship. I mean, there's no question about that.
It's nuts. The Patriots are a well-coached team. It just comes down to this. Belichick was out-coached on Sunday.
I would agree with that 100%. He played himself. And that's how you can beat the Patriots. If Belichick overcoaches. He overcoached by benching Butler. It's like, we can win without you. We're a system team. No, that's not how it works. You need the personnel. It's that simple. So on Saturday, the Pro Football Hall of Fame announced its 2018 class. With that in mind, I'll go through the names, and we'll say what we think of them. Sound good, guys?
Yep.
Sounds good.
All right, and we'll start with a former Eagle, Brian Dawkins.
Now, considering him, I've seen him play. He made his presence known in the Philadelphia defense. He's a 9-time Pro Bowler. He's a 5-time first-time All-Pro, first team. 26 sacks, 36 forced fumbles, and 37 interceptions. Great stats. Do not get me wrong. I just think that it was a little bit borderline that he got in.
I'd agree with that 100%. Dawkins was the definition of borderline to me. I'd have preferred Isaac Bruce to get in. Honestly, I'm a big Isaac Bruce guy. I think he should be in.
What about Ty Law?
Ty Law was borderline to me, too.
Yeah.
I don't want to come off as a Jet homer, but Ty Law, Alan Faneca, Kevin Mawai, all former Jets, they were all borderline.
Like great players, just maybe not like, Hall of Famers.
Yeah, exactly. The Hall of Fame, you've got to be at that elite level. And Dawkins was the best safety in the league for a period of time, but so was John Lynch for a little bit. And I don't think John Lynch should be in the Hall of Fame, even though there are a lot of people that think he should be. Maybe he's an executive the way he's going.
Because that one time he fleeced the Bears. Yeah, greatest moment of his career.
And maybe fleeced the Patriots with Garoppolo.
Look, he had a great draft, and that Garoppolo trade was a great trade, too.
See, that's the argument for trading for Foles. When you had the opportunity to get your franchise quarterback, you take it.
Yeah, because Garoppolo changed the Niners.
He did.
And I'm honestly excited to see how they're going to play next year. I really am.
So am I. It's going to be a fun season in San Francisco or Santa Clara, wherever Levi Stadium is.
I think it's Santa Clara.
It is Santa Clara? Okay. All right. Do I look like I live in California? Do I look like I have that California tan?
No, but you're very knowledgeable.
Thank you. What about Ray Lewis?
Okay, I don't care what anyone says. This guy is a Hall of Famer to me. 2-time Super Bowl champion, 13-time Pro Bowler, 7-time first team, 41 and a half sacks, 31 interceptions, 17 forced fumbles, 100% yes.
I would agree with that.
I mean, honestly, looking at, this like Hall of Fame list, 5 out of the 8 of these people, we all kind of grew up on. Like, this is around the time when we were watching football as, like, kids. So I feel like this is, for the most part, we'll go through it. But I just thought it was really interesting when I saw the list that they were all, like, relatively new players for the most part.
Yeah, it's getting to that point now with Hall of Fames. You're seeing it with baseball. You're seeing it with basketball. You're seeing it a little bit with hockey. I like that. It's really hard to evaluate defensive players when you've never seen them play. That's why I like having a friend of mine. His name's Jim. He's a big sports fan, big football fan, and I asked him about the senior guys, and he said about Robert Brazil. Yeah, I didn't remember him too much, so I don't think he should be in. So, that's good enough for me to say that he shouldn't be in.
But just the thing is, especially with Ray Lewis, he was...
I know we're jumping around a little bit, but...
No, it's okay. He was probably one of the best defensive players I've seen growing up.
He's one of the best linebackers in history.
And he was part of one of the best defense I've ever seen. Him and Ed Reed was unbelievable for the Ravens.
That started that run of every Baltimore Raven defensive coordinator getting a head coaching job. Remember that?
Yeah, because look at what they did.
Yeah, Rex Ryan, Chuck Pagano, there's some guys before Ryan. It's really amazing. What about Randy Moss? You think Randy Moss should be in?
I do. I do. 6-time Pro Bowler. He was the 5-time receiving touchdowns leader. He had 23 touchdowns in a single season, and in his rookie year, he had 17 touchdowns. Clearly, he was the number one target on all, if not most, of his teams, and he had over 15,000 receiving yards.
He is in the top 5 for most receiving yards in a career.
He has to be.
Yeah, Jerry Rice is by far and away number 1. He's got over 22,000. Second, I think, is at about 15,000. Maybe T.O., maybe Randy Moss, but I know...
Would you put...
T.O. is number 2, as far as I know.
T.O.'s number 2, okay.
And if we're going to get to that, I think T.O. should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer.
I agree with you 100%.
I think so, too.
I love Terrell Owens. I kind of like cocky football players that perform well, that back up their trash talk, and are not playing the team that are a rival of my team. So, yeah, T.O., I loved him, and I think he definitely deserved to be in.
Did you watch Punk'd with Ashton Kutcher?
I did not.
No, I did not. I like Ashton Kutcher.
He did a Punk'd with Terrell Owens where T.O. helped someone who was in a car wreck, and the guy said, "Oh, by the way, I've got this jersey here. It's a Donovan McNabb jersey. You're the guy."
No way.
Yeah, that was funny. You're the guy who catches the ball after he throws it. So can you sign this?
Oh my God.
It was really
That's
funny.
Hysterical. That's honestly hysterical. Before I knew that I wanted to be a Giants fan, I had a Terrell Owens Eagles jersey.
Really?
I had one, yeah.
Gee whiz.
Hold on. I was like very young. I think I might have proof.
And Randy Moss should be in while we're on the